All right, everyone, get ready for today's deep dive. We're talking all about how to build those awesome client relationships.
Really important stuff.
Super important.
Yeah.
You're about to step into this new role, working directly with clients, and you want to, knock it out of the park.
Right.
So we're looking at this training guide, right?
Right.
It's used in Australian healthcare.
Oh, interesting.
It's all about how to establish and manage client relationships. So think of it as, your secret weapon.
Okay.
And the best part, even though it's from Australia, the ideas are universal, no matter what field you're in.
Yeah, definitely. Those core principles, they apply whether you're in healthcare, tech, finance.
Yeah,
Wherever you are, it's going to make a difference.
totally. So let's jump right in. The guide starts off talking about, professional boundaries.
Okay.
And we've all been there, right? We've all had that coworker who maybe overshares a little too much, or those situations where it's like, whoa, where's the line?
Oh, yeah,
It could be super awkward.
totally. But this guide, it goes beyond just saying be professional, right? It digs into the WHY. Why are those boundaries so important, both for you and for your clients?
I like that. So it's not just about avoiding awkward moments. It's about setting the stage for a successful working relationship.
Exactly. And it gets specific too. It talks about different types of boundaries:
Mm.
sexual, physical, emotional.
Okay, break that down for me. What do they mean by that?
So, for example, with those sexual boundaries, they make it crystal clear: don't get romantically involved with your clients.
Yeah, that's a no-brainer, right?
You would think, but it happens. And things can get messy fast.
Oh, yeah. And what about physical boundaries? I imagine those can be tricky too, especially depending on your field.
For sure. So the guide says any physical contact, it has to be directly related to the service you're providing.
Makes sense. So a doctor examining a patient, that's one thing. But putting your arm around a client just for comfort?
That crosses the line, yeah.
Gotcha. Okay, and what about emotional boundaries? Those seem a little harder to define.
Absolutely. It's about recognizing that you're not there to be your client's therapist. Empathy is super important, but you got to maintain a healthy emotional distance to be able to give them objective advice.
It's like walking that tightrope.
It is, and they bring up something called client transference too, since you're into psychology.
Oh, yeah. Transference. It's fascinating stuff.
Right. It's how our past experiences, like those old relationships, can actually influence how we interact with people today without us even realizing it.
So how does that play out with a client then?
Sometimes clients might project their feelings or expectations onto you based on their past experiences. Maybe they had a difficult relationship with an authority figure or even a family member, and those feelings come out in your interactions.
Wow, that's crazy. So they might become, what, overly dependent,
Yeah,
demanding?
exactly. Or even hostile. And the thing is, they might not even realize they're doing it.
So how can you tell if it's happening? And more importantly, what do you do about it?
Well, the guide emphasizes awareness, right?
Yeah.
You start picking up on those subtle cues, those shifts in their behavior, and you realize, okay, something deeper is going on here. It's not about shutting them down. It's about understanding where those feelings are coming from and responding in a way that maintains those boundaries.
So how do you do that? What if you're in your new role and you notice a client is getting a little too attached, maybe treating you more like a friend than a professional?
Mhm.
How would you handle that?
Well, first thing, don't take it personally. Remember, it's probably not about you. It's probably rooted in their own experiences.
That's good advice.
Yeah. So what you do is gently steer the conversation back to the task at hand, right? Remind them of your professional role, and if you need to, set some clear boundaries.
How would you actually say that?
You could say something like, I hear you and I want to help you find the best solution. But remember, our relationship is about achieving your goals, and it's important we stay focused on that.
Okay, so it's about finding that balance, right? Being supportive, but not crossing that line.
Exactly. And that all comes down to communication. And that's where the guide gets really interesting.
Ooh, lay it on me.
Yeah.
What do they say about communication?
Well, they start by emphasizing that building trust through clear and respectful communication, that's essential.
Okay, but how do you do that? Everyone says communicate, but what does that actually look like in practice?
That's the cool part. They actually break it down into techniques you can use right away. And one of the big ones is active listening.
Active listening.
Mm.
Okay, but I feel like everyone thinks they're a good listener.
Right. But are we actually present in the conversation, or are we just waiting for our turn to talk?
Oh my gosh, yes. I'm so guilty of that sometimes.
We all do it. But this guide, it helps you become more aware of those habits.
Mm.
So what is active listening? It's about being fully present, not just hearing the words, but tuning into those emotions behind them. What are they really trying to say?
It's like you're not just hearing the music, you're feeling the vibe.
Exactly. And it's about showing them you're engaged too, using those nonverbal cues, nodding, eye contact, even leaning in a little.
It's like sending those signals like, I'm with you, keep going.
Totally. And it goes beyond body language too. The guide encourages you to summarize what they've said, reflect their feelings back to them.
So it's not just, I hear you, it's, I understand you.
Exactly. You might say, it sounds like you're feeling overwhelmed with all these options. Is that right?
Okay, that makes so much sense. You're confirming you're on the same page, and you're showing them that you're really trying to get them.
Right. You're moving from just hearing to truly understanding.
I like that.
And that's where the questioning techniques come in too.
Oh, yeah, questioning. I feel like there's an art to that.
There is, and the guide breaks down the difference between open and closed questions.
Okay, what's the difference?
So open questions, they invite the client to share more. Right. You get them talking, like, how are you feeling about this? Or what are your biggest concerns? Closed questions, they're more for confirming details. Are you feeling anxious? Or do you understand what I'm saying?
So it's like one opens the door, the other just checks the lock.
Exactly. And this reminds me of motivational interviewing, which I know you're interested in.
Oh, yeah, motivational interviewing. It's fascinating.
Right. And even though they don't explicitly mention it in the guide, a lot of the principles overlap. Motivational interviewing is all about helping people explore their own motivations and barriers to change. It's not about telling them what to do. It's about empowering them to find their own solutions.
It's like you're holding up a mirror and helping them see their own reflections instead of telling them what you see.
That's a great way to put it. And this guide, it emphasizes that using those open-ended questions and reflective listening, it can help the client feel heard, understood, and ultimately more in control of their decisions. It's so powerful, right? It's not just about communication techniques. It's about creating a genuine connection with your clients.
And when they feel that connection, that trust, they're more likely to take your advice, stick with the plan, and ultimately achieve their goals.
I can definitely see that. Okay, so you've got the communication piece down. What about empathy? Everyone talks about being empathetic, but how do you actually do that? Does the guide get into that?
It does, and they go beyond just saying, be empathetic. They give you concrete actions, like validating the client's feelings, even if you don't necessarily agree with their perspective.
What does that look like?
It could be something as simple as, I understand this must be frustrating for you, or it sounds like you're going through a lot right now.
So it's about acknowledging their experience, even if you don't have all the answers.
Exactly. It also talks about being aware of your own biases and assumptions. We all have them, but it's about recognizing how they might influence how you interact with your clients.
That's so important. Being self-aware is a superpower.
Yeah.
It is. And another thing that stood out to me, the emphasis on being non-judgmental. Creating a safe space where clients feel comfortable opening up, even if it's something difficult or embarrassing.
That's huge.
Yeah.
Because if they don't feel safe, they're not going to share what's really going on.
Right. They have to feel like they can be vulnerable with you.
You know, this all seems pretty straightforward, but I bet it's a lot harder to put into practice, especially when you're dealing with, complex situations or challenging personalities.
Oh, yeah, for sure. And that's where the guide's advice on nonverbal communication comes in.
Nonverbal communication. Okay, I'm listening.
It's about being mindful of how you're coming across. It's not just what you say, it's your body language, your tone of voice, even your facial expressions.
Oh, I'm terrible with that stuff. I slouch, I fidget, I make weird faces.
We all have our quirks, but the key is to be aware of how they might be perceived and adjust accordingly. So the guide talks about things like facing your body towards the client, making eye contact, using gestures to emphasize your points. It also emphasizes open and relaxed body language, uncrossed arms, leaning in slightly, those subtle signals that make you seem more approachable.
And a smile goes a long way too, right?
Absolutely. It's about projecting that sense of warmth and approachability.
This is all so insightful. It's like we're decoding the secret language of communication.
We are. And the last thing they mention in their communication toolbox is using communication aids.
Communication aids? Like what?
Think of it as anything that can help you get your message across more effectively. It could be a handout, a diagram, even visuals like posters or charts.
Oh, so it's about tailoring your communication to fit the situation and the individual.
Exactly. Meeting them where they are.
Okay, this training is designed for healthcare workers, right?
Mm.
But how much of it applies to my situation, working in listener personas field?
That's a great question. And honestly, I think these communication skills, they're highly transferable. Because think about it, in listener personas field, you're also dealing with people who need information, guidance, and support.
That's true. So even if the subject matter is different, the principles are the same.
Exactly. Building rapport, communicating clearly, creating that positive environment, those skills are essential no matter what you do.
Okay, that makes sense. Now, I'm super curious about how the guide tackles those unique client needs and backgrounds. Because let's face it, not everyone comes from the same place.
Right. You're so right. And that's a perfect segue into the next part of the guide, which is all about navigating those differences and making sure everyone feels heard and respected no matter their background.
Okay, I'm ready. Let's dive into that.
Yeah.
All right, so we've tackled those boundaries and we've gotten a handle on communication. But in the real world, it's not always so simple, right?
Definitely not. Every client's different, and sometimes those differences, well, they can lead to bumps in the road, misunderstandings, conflicts, you name it.
Exactly. And that's where I think this guide really shines. It gets into those nitty-gritty details of navigating those unique needs, starting with cultural considerations.
Oh, yeah, that's a big one.
Huge. And it's tricky, right? You want to be respectful of those differences, but not fall into stereotypes or assumptions.
It's like you don't want to treat someone like a walking encyclopedia of their culture.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So how does the guide approach this? What kind of guidance does it give?
Well, first off, it encourages you to develop what they call cultural awareness.
Okay, cultural awareness, what does that mean?
It's more than just knowing, like, surface level facts about different
Like,
cultures.
oh, this culture values this, that culture values that. It's got to be deeper than that, right?
Way deeper. It's about truly understanding how culture shapes a person's whole way of being, their communication style, values, worldview.
Even their ideas about health and wellness, I bet.
You got it. So
Oh,
it's less about assuming you know everything and more about being open to learning and understanding.
because let's be real, we all have our blind spots,
We do. And our own cultural background, it shapes how we see the world, right? So someone else might be coming from a totally different perspective.
which is why that active listening is so crucial.
Couldn't agree more. You got to listen not just to the words, but to the context behind them. What's their background? What are their experiences?
You can't just project your own lens onto them.
Exactly. And the guide emphasizes that. You have to actively listen to really understand where they're coming from and be ready to adjust how you communicate based on that.
Okay, so active listening is key. But are there any, like, practical tips for navigating those cultural differences? Things you should or shouldn't say, do, whatever.
They do offer some solid advice there, like using clear, simple language is super important, especially if you're working with someone who might not be fluent in your language or who has different cultural norms around communication.
So no jargon, be mindful of your tone, and watch out for those nonverbal cues that might mean different things in different cultures.
Right, like eye contact or physical touch. Those can be interpreted in all sorts of ways.
It's about being sensitive to those potential miscommunications and really trying to bridge the gap.
Exactly. And it goes beyond just language, too. The guide talks about religious differences, even beliefs about alternative medicine.
Oh, wow, that's interesting.
Right. And they encourage you to ask open-ended questions to get a sense of where the client is coming from, and then to acknowledge and respect those beliefs, even if they're different from your own.
I can imagine that can be a bit of a tightrope walk, especially in healthcare.
Yeah.
You want to be respectful, but you also want to provide the best possible care.
It's a delicate balance for sure, and you might run into situations where a client's beliefs clash with what you consider best practice. In those cases, the guide really stresses open communication, finding some common ground, and if you need to, bringing in other professionals or resources who can offer that culturally sensitive guidance.
So the key takeaway here is be flexible, individualize your approach, meet the client where they are.
Absolutely. And that applies not just to cultural differences, but also to clients with different physical and mental health needs.
Right, because those can affect communication in a big way. What kind of guidance does the guide offer for that?
Well, it's all about adapting your style to fit the client's needs.
Okay, give me an example. Like, how would you approach someone with a hearing impairment versus someone with a cognitive impairment?
Sure. So for someone with a hearing impairment, you'd make sure to face them directly, speak clearly, maybe a little slower, and use visuals or written communication if that helps.
It's about removing those barriers.
Yeah.
Right, making sure they can fully participate.
Exactly. And for someone with a cognitive impairment, you'd use simpler language, break things down into smaller chunks, and constantly check for understanding. You might even use pictures or diagrams.
So those communication aids we talked about, they come in handy here.
Big time. It's about being flexible, finding creative ways to make sure the client gets the information they need and feels comfortable.
It's all about empowerment, really, making sure they feel heard and understood.
Couldn't agree more. And, sometimes even with all the good intentions and communication strategies in the world, things don't always go smoothly.
Oh, absolutely. Not every client interaction is going to be sunshine and roses.
You got that right. And that's where the guide's advice on dealing with challenging behavior comes in. It's not just stay calm, they actually give you some real techniques to de-escalate those tense situations.
Okay, let's talk about that because I think everyone's been there at some point. What does the guide mean by challenging behavior anyway?
Well, it's not just about physical aggression, though that can certainly be a part of it.
What else could it be?
Think verbal outbursts, passive resistance, withdrawing from communication.
Oh, I see. So it's any behavior that makes it difficult to do your job effectively and maintain that positive relationship.
Exactly. And the guide stresses that these behaviors are often a way for the client to communicate something, maybe an unmet need, or feeling overwhelmed.
It's like a smoke signal. There's a fire somewhere. You got to figure out what's causing it.
Exactly. And the guide says how you respond in those moments, it can either make things better or worse.
There's that respond, don't react idea again.
Right. So first things first, manage your own emotions. Take a deep breath, don't show anger or frustration, stay calm and neutral.
Easier said than done
It
sometimes.
takes practice. But your calm, it can actually help the client calm down too. It's like it gives them permission to regulate their own emotions.
Okay, so deep breaths, check.
Mhm.
What are some other techniques for actually diffusing that anger or frustration?
One thing they suggest is trying to shift the focus away from the emotionally charged stuff.
So redirecting that energy.
Exactly. Like, if they're angry about a specific issue, you acknowledge their feelings and then gently guide the conversation towards possible solutions.
So instead of getting stuck in the mud, you're finding a path forward.
That's a great way to put it. And sometimes something as simple as apologizing, it can go a long way.
Even if you don't feel like it's entirely your fault.
Even then, it shows you're taking responsibility, you're trying to make things right, and that can really de-escalate things.
Like, okay, we're on the same team here.
Exactly. Another key thing is to provide reassurance. Let them know you've got this. You're going to help them find a solution.
That sense of confidence can be really calming, right? Like,
Yeah.
okay, they're not freaking out, so maybe I don't need to either.
Right. And then there's clarifying the issues, making sure everyone's on the same page about what's actually causing the problem.
So no jumping to conclusions,
Yeah,
making sure you're addressing the real issue.
right. And throughout all of this, composure is key. Even if you're feeling stressed inside, you got to project that calm exterior.
Like you're wearing a calm mask.
Uh-huh. Yeah, kind of. Calm voice, no confrontational language or body language, neutral facial expressions.
It's a lot to remember.
It is, but with practice, it becomes second nature.
I can see how these techniques would be useful in all sorts of situations, not just professional ones.
Oh, for sure. These are life skills.
Absolutely. And speaking of navigating tricky situations, sometimes those challenging behaviors might mean the client needs something you just can't provide.
You're right. Maybe they need a specialist or a different type of service altogether.
And that's where referrals come in. What does this guide say about that?
It's surprisingly detailed about the whole referral process, and they make it clear. It's not about passing the buck. It's about making sure the client gets the best possible care, even if it's not from you.
It's about advocating for their needs.
Exactly. And they lay out the steps to make sure those referrals are done right.
Okay, walk me through it. What makes a good referral?
First, you have that open and honest conversation with the client.
Lay it all out there.
You explain why you're making the referral, what the benefits could be, and you address any concerns they have.
It's about making them feel like they're part of the decision, not just being told what to do.
Exactly. Then you give them all the practical information, the new provider's name, credentials, contact info, all that.
Like you're packing their bags for them.
Haha, that's a good one. And they even suggest going a step further, like helping schedule appointments or fill out paperwork.
Wow, that's above and beyond.
It is, but it makes that transition so much smoother for the client.
It shows you care, even if you're not the one providing the service anymore.
Right. And they emphasize following up afterwards, too, seeing how things are going, answering any questions.
Closing the loop.
Exactly. And they also suggest that even if you're making a referral, you can still offer some support by providing general information or self-care tips.
It's like saying, hey, I'm still here for you, even if in a different way.
Exactly. And that, I think, really sums up what this guide is all about. Building those strong, supportive relationships based on trust, respect, and a genuine desire to help.
This whole deep dive has been so insightful. I feel like I've gotten a crash course in how to really connect with clients.
Me too. And you know what's so cool? Even though this is for healthcare, so much of it applies to any field where you work with people.
Absolutely. It's all about those human connections.
All right, so we've covered a ton today. Boundaries, communication, cultural considerations, challenging behavior, referrals. What stands out to you the most from this training? For me, it's that emphasis on seeing each client as an individual, tailoring your approach to meet their specific needs.
It's not one size fits all.
Nope. And being willing to adapt, change your style, even your mindset to create those supportive relationships. That's what really stuck with me.
I love that. It's about meeting people where they are, both literally and figuratively.
Couldn't have said it better myself. And that, I think, is a pretty powerful takeaway from this whole deep dive.
As we wrap up this deep dive, I keep thinking about how much this healthcare training really is like a masterclass in just connecting with people in general.
It really is. We've talked about boundaries, listening, cultural differences, those tough conversations. I mean, it's amazing how much practical stuff is packed in here.
It is. And thinking about you starting this new role in listener personas field, I can see how valuable all this is going to be.
Yeah, no matter what you do, building that rapport, making people feel heard and valued, that's huge.
Absolutely. And one thing that keeps coming back to me is knowing your limits. Like, even when you're trying your best, sometimes you need to bring in someone with more specific expertise.
That's so true. And those referrals, that can be a tricky area.
This guide really breaks it down, though, which I think is super helpful.
It is. It starts by saying, a good referral isn't just about getting rid of a client. It's about making sure they're taken care of.
Right. It's about that continuity of care.
Exactly. So having that honest conversation with the client, explaining WHY the referral's happening, addressing any concerns they have, that's step one.
Instead of just saying, go see this person, you're making them part of the process.
Right. Then you give them all the info they need. Name, credentials, contact info, the whole 9 yards.
So they don't feel lost and confused, like, where do I even go from here?
Exactly. And the guide even says, go above and beyond. Help schedule appointments, fill out paperwork, even make that first contact with the new provider.
Wow, that's really taking it to the next level.
It is, but it makes such a difference for the client, especially if they're already feeling stressed or vulnerable.
Makes that transition so much smoother.
Exactly. And they say to follow up afterward, too. Just check in, see how things are going, make sure they're doing okay.
And really closing the loop.
Exactly. And even though you're referring them out, you can still offer support in other ways, like giving them some general information or tips related to their situation.
Even if it's not your area of expertise, you can still be there for them.
Right. It's just showing that you care and want to empower them to take charge of their own well-being.
It's really about that holistic approach, isn't it?
It is. This whole guide, it's like a roadmap for how to build those solid, supportive relationships that make all the difference.
I agree. It's not just about the techniques. It's about that mindset of empathy, respect, genuinely wanting to help.
Couldn't have said it better myself. And that brings me to one of my biggest takeaways from this deep dive, realizing that building these relationships, it's not a one-time thing, it's a journey.
It's a constant learning process.
It is. You have to stay curious, be willing to adapt, always be looking for ways to improve your skills and knowledge.
And knowing that you're not going to get it perfect every time.
Oh, definitely not. We all make mistakes, even the pros. The important thing is to learn from those experiences and keep growing.
It's all about that continuous self-improvement, both personally and professionally.
Well said. This deep dive has been such a great reminder that at the heart of it all, it's about those human connections.
Those bonds built on trust, respect, working together towards a positive outcome.
Exactly. And those principles, they go way beyond just professional relationships. They apply to everything.
It's true. Empathy, communication, respect, those are the building blocks of any healthy relationship.
Well, I think it's time to wrap up this amazing deep dive into client relationships. What are your final thoughts?
I feel so inspired by everything we've talked about. I'm walking away with a whole new toolkit for connecting with clients in a way that feels authentic and compassionate.
Me too. And I hope all of you listening feel the same way. Remember, building those strong relationships, it takes time and effort, but it's so worth it.
Absolutely. It's the foundation of everything. So as always, we encourage you to keep the conversation going, share your thoughts, insights, questions. Let's keep learning from each other.
And supporting each other on this journey. Until next time, keep diving deep, everyone.
See you next time.